Hi, it's July the 16th, 2013. It's early in the morning. I don't know why I'm doing it now, but I just feel like I've got to do it now. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. When I say a long time, over a year. Well over a year, in fact, nearly 2 years. Various people have said I should do this, so that's why I'm doing it now. I'm going to be talking about movies. I am a Christian. I try and be as God-fearing as I can. So watching movies isn't the best pastime, and it's not something I would suggest you to do all the time either. But the thing I found with movies is when I watch a movie, I don't watch it for entertainment. I look at it for information, for evidence, to substantiate what I think is happening in the world. And movies give you all the information you need, be it technology, drugs, whatever it is, chemtrails, whatever it is, mind control, it all comes out in the movies. I'm going to run through a few for you just to give you a little snippet here and there. Just for example, Jack Reacher, I think, came out in 2012 with Tom Cruise. Now I don't know why I watched the movie. I thought it's going to be something stupid, but I thought it must be something interesting there. But then I'd seen the advertisement for Oblivion previously, and I confused the two. Now I know Oblivion, I haven't seen it yet. It's going to come out on DVD in August, which is next month, and then I'll try and get to see it then, which is all about drones, which is another thing I'm going to touch on. But Jack Reacher was a stupid movie. He turns out to be this one man, 18 kind of guy. But at one point in the movie, near the end, right near the end in fact, he's looking at people who are in the house working, etc., etc. He's like looking outside the window and he sees all the various people and the various things that they're doing at that time of the day. And he says to the lady he's with, and he said, look, all these people, they're all slaves to the system. That woman over there is working, she's working to pay her bills. She's a slave to the system. She has to work to pay her bills, to stay in the system. And everyone is just a slave to the system. And then obviously there's a whole monologue there inside that one scene, but that one scene I think is the key scene in the whole movie. And a lot of movies are made just to give a message, and then all the rest is just dramatised around it, just so you enjoy it and you don't notice what the message that actually want to say is. But that's Jack Reacher, which I wouldn't suggest you go and watch. It's just like shooting and blowing up and beating up and rubbish. Having noticed two movies, Avatars with those long blue people, and The Matrix. Having noticed in both those movies, they both use a plug-in effect into your body. A plug goes into your body in effect in some way or another, and they go into like a virtual environment. So they're basically living in this cubicle. In The Matrix, all the babies are in those incubators. In Avatar, they're in this cubicle, and then they are in their mind living out another life in this other world, which is just fictitious, which is just like our world now. Everything they teach us, tell us, want us to know is not real. So we all think we're all basically living in EastEnders, basically, which is just not real. Just like the Truman Show, none of it's real. It's like one big studio set. They create the weather, just like in the Truman Show, and we think it's a storm. They've created it. The economy system is just one big fictitious system that's not really real. Paper money is not real. They've created it, and then they create the debt. We all believe we're in debt because they created the debt, and therefore we become slaves to their system because we don't know the truth of how to get out of the system. I hope that makes sense. Again, The Matrix correlates with another movie. If you look at the Adjustment Bureau, which is with Matt Damon. In both those movies, now there's lots of scenarios there I'm going to touch on, but just one is where they've got those corridors where they can come out of one door, go down a corridor, go in another door, and end up in a completely different environment. For example, in the Adjustment Bureau, they're in an office, go through a door into this corridor, go through another door, and they're on the island where the Statue of Liberty is. Just like in The Matrix, where they're in an apartment, perhaps, go through a door, they get into this corridor, then go through another door, and they could end up on a city street. It just seems that there's too much of this going on in the movies that give us all this evidence of things that we don't understand because we're not taught or told, and they don't think we're knowledgeable enough to understand. They don't understand with the chemtrails and the water and the food anyway, which I'll come to. There's another movie called The Control Factor. The Control Factor is all about mind control. If you look at the mobile telephone masts that are up on all the buildings, and literally on every single tall building, there are these mobile telephone masts, which actually aren't about mobile phones at all. It's all about how they control our minds with the signals. The signals, they can penetrate our minds with images or with thoughts, and they control that with your mobile phone. Because your mobile phone is radioactive, or it uses the radio waves, they can actually use your phone to penetrate your mind to record your mind waves. Those then get sent up into satellites, which are recorded, just like they can record your voice print, your retina scan, your fingerprint. Everything is a unique individual signature of who you are, and so your mind also. And they can clone people, just like they clone sheep, cows, food, people. They're cloning people as well. So therefore they can clone someone with a mind map as well of who I am. They can put that inside the clone of me, so no one who doesn't know me would know the difference whether I'm me or not or someone else that's a clone. So only people who actually know me would know how I would react to a situation, would know that I am not. I'm the clone, I'm not the real Jason. Anyway, that's not another thing. If you remember in Matrix, when he's in that cubicle with all the babies, all the dead people are fed into the cubicle to feed the babies. Do you remember the black liquid? Well, that was the dead people, etc. Kind of gross, and I don't think everyone picked up on that. That's what actually happened. There was actually a movie in 1972 called Soylent Green. Soylent Green, I've forgotten who was in it. A few famous people in it. I think it might be Charlton Heston. I think so, and a few others. But in Soylent Green, which is in the 70s, early 70s, they were getting dead people, and however they were doing it, they were then beating them down and making them into food and feed them back to the living people. So you got this movie that was the early 70s called Soylent Green. Then The Matrix, which was out in the late 80s or 90s, I can't remember. But it's the same concept, feeding dead people back to living people. Why? That's disgusting. But I can only assume it's something they're doing or they're about to do. This is something that's major at the moment. This is major, and in particular because with my wife and I have got a ministry, and we do a radio program on MediaNetGospel.com, on the internet, MediaNet.Gospel.com, and you click on live radio. We do a radio program every Tuesday between 7 and 10 p.m. every Tuesday night. We're in London, so that's 7 to 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And the reason I say that is because in Batman in 1989, I think it was, with Jack Nicholson, who played the Joker. Jack Nicholson was killing all these people off, and no one could understand why, but they'd all keel over dead with a smile on their face. But Jack Nicholson was poisoning all their household products and their aftershaves and their deodorants and their soap, and he was poisoning with these products. Now, when the chemical reaction they're using these products, if you're using a soap with an aftershave, the chemical reaction would kill you. That's actually happening now to us today, and that information came out, what, 20 years ago now, or more? This all comes out in the movies they're using it. There's also the movie with Jim Carrey, the Batman movie with Jim Carrey, and he played the Riddler, and they were using the TV to suck the information from your mind, and basically he was using all the information to increase his knowledge. Okay, so they bent that more. But basically, your TV now, your digital TV, it watches you more than you watch it. The reason I say this is because they've got cameras embedded in these digital TVs and microphones. So even when the TV is not switched on, they can look at you, they can see what's going on in your family, your room, they can hear it all the time. And not only through your TV, they can hear it through your mobile phone. It doesn't have to be switched on. They can hear and see everything that's going on. But if you've got a camera on your laptop, as long as it's plugged in or connected to the internet, they can see and hear everything. Everything digital, they can see and hear everything that you're doing. You don't even have to have it switched on. Be aware of that. But in that Riddler movie, they have these things on the TVs that saps your mind wave. That's what they're doing now. So be aware. All the information coming out in the movies. There's the other Batman movie with the Scarecrow, which was more recently with Christian Bale. And the Scarecrow would spray something, and it would invoke you to have your worst nightmare, and you would believe that nightmare. Now, what they did, they contaminated the water supply, which then they vaporized, and everyone was running around seeing their nightmares. So if you believe in vampires and you're scared of vampires, when you had this nightmare, this vapor that was sprayed into the air, you would believe you were seeing vampires and you'd be scared, and everyone running around killing each other. Now that in essence is true today because of the chemtrails. They're spraying chemtrails in the sky. If you look in the sky when it's a nice blue sky, you'll see chemtrails, which are long white clouds going along the sky. They crisscross and they go nice and feathered. Clouds are never uniform. They're completely unique, just like you and me. Why would they be all uniform and nice and have feathered edges and go right across the sky like a blanket? And that's not a real cloud. It's a chemtrail. Check it out. Have a look at it. You'll see when there's big chemtrails across the sky, everyone's generally getting ill within a few days. Either bad hay fever or flu or something like that. Okay, and all those viruses are related. So what I was saying with the Scarecrow is, with these chemtrails, they're using chemicals to dumb us down or to make us ill, or they contaminate the soil, so it depletes the nutrients and proteins in the soil and the water. They're putting chlorine, fluorine in the water supply. If you're getting bottled water, the plastic in the bottles, it's got lithium in it, which dumbs us down. The water leaches the lithium from the plastic, and you're drinking it. Everything we're eating, drinking, it's all poison. Yes, not that we're going to die straight away, but it's poison that we will keel over at some point, or we get cancer, or whatever. Control factor, which I mentioned before, also shows how they can reprogram our minds, or they can brainwash us or reprogram us. See, with all these stars and singers and rock stars and actors, Charlie Sheen for example, they say he goes in for rehab. And when they say he goes in for rehab, they just take him in and they reprogram his mind. Have you seen Manchurian Candidate with Denzel Washington? It shows how they can just put a chip in your head which controls what you think about. They can just do something which will then click the chip, which causes you to say something or do something, and you're brainwashed, you're under their control. And then they can change a chip and make sure to do something different. It's horrible, scary stuff. But they can control us through our phones and everything. You have to be very, very careful, and you have to know God, you have to pray. Ephesians 6 verses 10 to 18 is about the armour of God. Yes, I'm a Christian, and I'm very proud to say I'm a Christian, because God is the only one that can save us. When Christ comes, you need to know where you're going to stand, because this world is run by Satan. Satan runs the Illuminati, the Freemasons. They all think they're the illuminated one, they're the ones that know everything. But they are the ones that are going to be most deceived, because where they think they're going to be saved, Satan's going to turn. Satan's lost the battle already. He lost the battle when he was kicked out of heaven. He's deceived all these others to think that they could win the battle when God comes back. And Satan's just going to dwindle into nothing, and these guys are going to be left standing, not knowing what to do, because they're thinking, oh, we thought we were the guys. No, it doesn't happen that way. Control factor is all about mind control. The Adjustment Bureau, again, the Adjustment Bureau shows about mind control, shows how they can reprogram you. Have a look at these movies, the Adjustment Bureau, Control Factor. There's that movie, Zero Dark 30. This is going off that side, going off a bit tangent. Zero Dark 30 is all about how the CIA and the FBI, one or the other, put a department together of people to look for Osama bin Laden, obviously after the 9/11 bombings. And then what was it, in 2000 and it was only recently, 2013, it was only in the last 2 or 3 years, supposedly they found him and killed him, assassinated him. Right? Or was it 2008? Something like that. But there was evidence in a video, in an interview, to say that Osama bin Laden was actually killed and assassinated in 2003. 2003 was only 2 years after 9/11. And the reason I say that is because there was an interview with, I've forgotten the Indian Prime Minister's name, it's the lady, her name, I've forgotten her name, but she was being interviewed, I think it was by David Frost. But he said something about Osama. He said something about some terrorists and some terrorists who had done some terrorism, and she said, yes, these were the same guys that were caught. These were the same guys that assassinated Osama bin Laden in 2003, and these are the ones that got in trouble for doing something else. Now, the fact about this is, it must have been true when she said that, because she was then killed, assassinated, whatever you want to call it, a few weeks after that interview, because she let the information leak out. And that's what the Illuminati and Freemasons do. They try and keep everything secret, and if it's not kept secret, they pop you off. If you don't play the game the way they want you to play it, they'll pop you off. Look at all these pop stars that suddenly become big time, big time, big time, and all of a sudden they disappear because they don't want to be part of the system, or they can't be part of the system, or they're no good anymore. They chew you up, they spit you out. Talked about the Truman Show, key movie with Jim Carrey. The Truman Show is all about how Jim Carrey is born into this film, this TV set, the biggest TV set ever made in the world in this movie. And it's like the Millennium Dome, but like 1,000 times bigger. and it's just one big TV set, and it's all about Jim Carrey, and he's like living in a Big Brother TV set. Every single movement he makes is filmed, and everyone around the world is watching it. While London has got the most cameras than any other city in the world. England has got the most cameras than any other country in the world. We are living in a Truman Show. There's a movie called They Live, which was out in the 80s, I do believe, 82 or something. It's called They Live, and that shows you all about subliminal messages. How all the billboards and posters and TV and everything all has subliminal messages. Where a guy puts on these glasses where it shows a lady in a bikini lounging against a sun lounger in some tropical island, and then when he puts his glasses on, he sees the word sex, or alcohol, or this or that. It's all subliminal messages. They Live, another good movie. Interestingly enough, there's a film called Argo, which is with Ben Affleck. I think he directed it and he starred in it as well. Argo. Absolutely nothing about Jason the Argonauts or anything, which I thought it would be originally. It's actually about CIA cover-ups, how they cover up things that they're doing in other countries, and then they make out that it's something else. In particular, in this movie, they need to rescue some employees, CIA employees, from this country, from this city, and so they send another team of CIA agents in undercover, making out that they're a film crew, and they're going in to make a film, and so they get these other CIA people that are trapped there, and they make them all out to be actors or part and parcel of the film crew, and then they get them out that way, fooling the country with all fake passports, etc. It's what they've been doing it for years and years and years and years. It's how they do it now. I hope you follow that. There's another movie called G.I. Joe, which was out, I think, about 2 years ago. Stupid movie, absolutely stupid, ridiculous movie. But the reason I watched it was because they used what they call super soldiers. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because what they're doing now. Alright, you remember the movie Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger? The two were twins, but they messed with the DNA of Arnold Schwarzenegger and gave him all the DNA of all these muscle men and scientists and physicians and all these very, very intelligent or well-muscled men. And Arnold Schwarzenegger came out like a big muscly man, very intelligent. And then they left Danny DeVito as a baby on his own, and he came out as Danny DeVito, as a little idiot basically. And it shows how then that again is in the 80s that movie came out. And it shows that they're messing with genetics of people. Now this is real, that is happening now. They're doing it with soldiers, they're messing with genetics so they're stronger. They think more clearly, but they can control them more like drones. Okay, call them the super soldiers, and they've got all the technology for the armor and everything. You really need to see this stuff. I did a report on our radio show, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, about how they're messing with the genetics. So you can look at that. It's on our YouTube channel, Eagles Wings Ministry. Our YouTube channel, Eagles Wings Ministry. You can, I'm not sure which date, I think about 3 weeks ago, and today is the 16th. So you probably go back to the 16th, would be the 2nd of July maybe. Check back there. There's another movie called Limitless, and that's got Bradley Cooper. And it's all about how they dumb us down with the food, because it's all genetically modified, water's all poisoned, everything. It's all about dumbing down our brains, so we're not as brainy as we should be. We only use 5% capacity of our brain. Why is that? Because they're dumbing us down. In this movie Limitless, it shows how they create this drug, which can open up your mind, which basically gives it limitless capability of thinking, of working things out, of thinking outside the box, as they say. Limitless is amazing. He can hear everything better, see everything better, think better, more clearly, 5,000 times more intelligently than we can now. Limitless, very good movie. But again, like I said, all these movies, you have to know what you're looking for. You have to look for what they say the conspiracy theories within them. But the thing is, all these conspiracy theories are not conspiracies anymore, because there's documentation out in public to prove everything is real. You need to look it up. Again, there was that movie Battle LA, which I think came out 2 years ago. Battle LA, it's all about drones. And it shows how the aliens are attacking Earth, and all these spaceships are actually drones controlled by a central hub. This is real again, and this is what they're using in America. I mean, Obama's going on about drones all the time, and they're remote controlled. Now, think about it, okay? They're going to have everyone being controlled by this drone suit, but how many people are actually going to be able to control the drones? How many kids are playing these video games, flying these ships, spaceships and stuff, and it's all on the internet? And so the government can trace who's getting really, really good scores, who's really good at flying, who can do this, who can do that, and then they recruit you through playing these video games. That's what they're doing, so then you can then go on and start flying these drones around, killing, bombing these cities and stuff like that. Kids love it because they'll think it's a game, but it's no game, it's real life. So be careful with the video games you're giving your kids. I think that's most of the movies. There was another one I wanted to mention. I haven't written everything down. So the movies have all the information you have to look out for. I mean, look, all the everyone's seen Enemy of the State with Will Smith and Gene Hackman. And it's all about how they've got cameras everywhere. They can trace you everywhere. Now think about it. Will Smith was running wherever he was. They could trace him, right? Anywhere. Cameras. Even in like Bourne Identity with Jason Bourne and that one of Matt Damon again. Wherever you go, they can trace you, trace your voice, trace your face recognition. So why couldn't they supposedly find Saddam Hussein with Osama bin Laden with all the technology? It's rubbish. But it's the newspapers and the TV tell you, I was in hiding, we can't find him. What a lot of rubbish. Don't believe what the media tell you. Do your own research. Think for yourself. This is the end of this video. I'll try and get some more, do some more for you. God bless you. And please, please, please pray Ephesians 6 verses 10 to 18. Put the whole armor of God every day. God bless you all.